Welcome to the SportsCon here on YouTube. I'm your host Daniel with your top sports stories. Braun of the Milwaukee Brewers has been suspended for the remainder of the 2013 season, including the postseason, for violations of Major League Baseball's drug policy. This time Braun will not challenge the suspension, where he is set to lose about $3.25 million. Braun has released a statement where he says in part, "As I have acknowledged in the past, I am not perfect. I realize now that I have made some mistakes. I am willing to accept the consequences of those actions." End quote. There is so much to cover with this suspension, like why did Braun offer little resistance to this suspension compared to when he successfully appealed a drug test in 2012? The obvious answer is that Braun looked at the evidence that Major League Baseball had against him and saw it was too much to overcome. I also think that the Brewers being in last place in the National League Central had something to do with it. Braun knows Milwaukee isn't going to contend for a title this year, and then if he has to serve a suspension anyway, might as well serve it during an off year for the Brewers. Ryan will now be able to come back next season with a fresh start for him and the team. Does this suspension mean there are more to come this season? It's hard to tell. Just seeing that Ryan Braun, the man who appealed a drug test and attacked the character of a collector in the process, accepted a punishment, tells me that perhaps a few more players could be suspended this year if they figure the evidence is too great and don't appeal. However, a player that faces overwhelming evidence may use the appeals process anyway, if he's currently on a team that's contending for a playoff spot, figuring that the process will draw it out and the season will be long over by the time it gets settled. But there is no doubt more suspensions are coming, with the only real question attached is when. In other news, the Rangers acquire Matt Garza from the Chicago Cubs. The Cubs will get AAA infielder Mike Olt along with a couple other Class A righties and one or two players to be named later. Garza is 6-1 in 2013 with a 3.17 ERA. If Garza can play as well as he did for the Cubs, it could help the Rangers overcome the A's in the AL West. Texas starters this year have an ERA of 4.14, 19th in the majors. Garza's 3.17 shores up that rotation and gives them a better chance of catching up to Oakland. Top scorers in baseball include Matt Scherzer improving to 14-1 as the Tigers beat the White Sox 7-3. Miguel Cabrera did leave the game in the fifth inning with a sore left hip flexor muscle. He is listed as day-to-day. Matt Moore also gets his 14th win of 2013 as the Rays beat the Red Sox 3-0. Moore went the full 9 innings for the shutout, allowing just 2 hits and 1 walk, while recording 4 strikeouts. Side note for the Sox, Clay Buchholz seems to have no structural damage to his shoulder, as Dr. James Andrews confirms the team's original diagnosis of inflammation in Buchholz's collarbone area. Whew, that's a close one. The Rangers do get Garza and also a win over the Yankees by a final of 3-0. Yu Darvish got the win, improving to 9-4 on the season. The A's come back from a 3-run deficit to beat the Astros 4-3. Josh Reddick hit a 2-run homer in the 8th inning to give Oakland the lead. And the Reds pound the Giants 11-0 at AT&T as Bronson Arroyo gets a complete game shutout. Tim Lincecum took the worst of the Reds offense, allowing 8 earned and 3 2/3 innings of work. It was Timmy's first start since his 148-pitch no-hitter 9 days prior. For more, be sure to follow me on Twitter at TheSportsConSF. You can also follow me at thesportscon.blogspot.com. I'm Daniel, expecting a parody of the opening scene from Lion King at Buckingham Palace, and goodbye.